You are listening to the Red Leaf Retrocast. It's the Modern Gaming Edition, our monthly episode. I hope you enjoy us just talking about the games that have come out over the previous month. And now, on to the show. And welcome to episode 21 of the Modern Games Cast. It is now May of 2019, which means only one thing. We are here to discuss the April 2019 hot video game releases. This is the Red Leaf Retrocast, and welcome. I am your host, JD, joined here with his buddy Jay. How you doing?
Not bad, man. Not bad.
So, April was a little bit slow, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, what have we got? 5 games, if that? All I know is I've been playing a crap ton of Days Gone.
I played a lot more of Days Gone than I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to play another game on the list more, but unfortunately it has some very scummy things in it. So if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. What we do here is we pick out some hot titles from the month of the previous month in gaming, and we discuss them and hopefully have played them all.
I feel like that was a jab at me for some reason.
Yeah, well, you were slacking. I've been super busy myself, Mr. J, but I managed to still stick to my Fridays, pick up golf, work 12 hours a day, and I got time to play these games. So what's your excuse?
Assassin's Creed, Odyssey and Days Gone.
Well, I liked
and
one
work,
of those.
And work, and lots of work. Odyssey's not a bad game, I'm just saying that now.
If only you were here to play the antagonist to my protagonist. Yeah, you were the bad guy in this instance,
I'm
my
not
head.
the bad guy, you just don't understand. Once you do a bit of grinding for the first 2-3 hours, you're fine.
Oh my god.
It's not that hard of a
That
game.
statement
it's really
alone
not.
irks me so bad.
What, grinding? Every game's got grinding. Dude,
No,
even Days
not to
Gone's got
that
grinding.
level. Not to the level that Odyssey had, but even
Odyssey...
more so. There is a game we are going to talk about that has grinding that made me even more angry than what Odyssey did.
Just so as you know, I'm just throwing this out there, right? There are level caps on areas, so that it's not recommended that you go to those areas before you're on that level for Odyssey. You know that.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Well, how did you have a bad time then? The game's freaking easy.
No. So, that if you want to hear my thoughts over go back to the October 2018 episode.
Look, I'm just saying, I'm probably going to pick up all the DLC for it. I really liked Odyssey. Screw you, it's a good game.
Well, I'm glad you liked it. I absolutely hated that game, and I was incredibly disappointed. So,
look, it's better than Origins, and that's saying something.
I didn't think it was better than Origins at all.
Origins is awful.
Why?
You know, we can argue about this later. I'm just saying, we can argue about this later.
How is Origins awful? And yet, Odyssey's better.
Okay, well, let's start here. The whole mechanics and stuff in Odyssey versus what it was in Origins, they friggin' streamlined it a lot better, and it just played better than bloody Origins did. I didn't like the fact that in Origins you always needed to have a shield, because if you didn't have a shield, you were going to die.
Did I even play that game with a shield?
Yeah, you probably should have.
In the later game, I did.
Near
the end of the game, yes, you had to have a shield.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, I don't like being forced to play in a certain way. You didn't have that in bloody
That's a fair
Odyssey.
assessment. That is a very fair assessment. Odyssey, you were able to play in a bigger variety. That is correct. It's what they improved upon in some gameplay mechanics. Odyssey was better. I agree. But
Thank
they
you.
nerfed.
I also preferred the story in Odyssey to what it was in Origins.
It's a lot. I have seen the comparison of Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2 in many instances between Origins and Odyssey. And I do get that. I do understand that. Absolutely. So,
Moving on, we're not here to talk about Assassin's Creed.
anyways. There were a couple trailers that came out. Borderlands 3. A lot of people are hyped up for that. And then
I know, Borderlands is awesome.
We talked about it on the Retrocast about how the dude behind Borderlands he threw a hissy fit because he was called out for, saying what he did about there aren't going to be any microtransactions, and yet there's microtransactions. It's the industry trying to change a phrase or coin a phrase because it's inherently been tagged with being negative. So when you think microtransactions, the industry wants to change that away from loot boxes and make it okay for, say, cosmetics and other transactions for things like that. Well, you can't just... The industry doesn't make terms, right? Unless the public accepts it. And that's what the disconnect here is. So, but a new trailer just launched via Ubisoft, and a new Ghost Recon game. So I know buddy Kevin over on the Retrocast, he loves the Ghost Recon games, or at least the last one. So they're coming out with one this fall called Breakpoint. And it looks
the last
pretty...
one Wildlands?
Yeah, the last one's Wildlands.
That was a good game.
Yeah. And of course, with this trailer launch, as an Ubisoft, as they do, you can get the Standard, Gold, and Ultimate Edition. So, we know what that means. Pre-order for guaranteed beta access. So, that means you can sign up to get into the pre-beta, which I actually highly recommend these days with what companies are doing with this whole sign up for a beta access. Because I did that with The Division, played a ton of it, right? And that was pretty much, once I got done playing the beta, I go, you know what, I think I've played all that I want to play of this game. And I didn't need to buy it at all.
Fair enough.
It didn't compel me. So, if you like Ghost Recon, I imagine it's going to be more of the same, open world, shooty bang bang type stuff.
Yeah, I'll probably pick it up. I got friends that'll probably grab it and I'll play it with them.
Yeah. I'm not a big Ghost Recon's guy. That's not my kind of game. Not that kind, anyways. And then PlayStation had their version of a Nintendo Direct, another one. It's called the State of Play. That, in fact, just happened about an hour ago. So we're fresh off it.
All I know is that they announced more Final Fantasy VII stuff, and that game will be ready in 2027.
It's going to be a while, yeah. So, first up on the State of Play, you know what? I actually like these State of Plays. I always like Nintendo Direct because it keeps you up to date with, what Nintendo's working on, what games are going to come out. To me, it's almost like a mini E3 every 3 months,
Yep.
So, with PlayStation skipping out on E3 this year, E3 is kind of a bare bones conference this year, which is just going to take place next month.
Well, they're going to have Expo in there. They're going to have Ubisoft and stuff, aren't they?
I'll go out of my way to watch Ubisoft. I'm curious to see what Square is going to come out with, or at least show us, because what they failed to show us last year. But then EA, no interest. Xbox, I could care less. There's nothing they could say at this point that's going to impress me.
Look, if there's an announcement or a follow-up thing for Gears 5, I'm all in for another Xbox game. I'm huge on the Gears series.
Oh, you're a big Gears fan, are you?
I am. Didn't you know that? I thought I told you this at some stage.
I'm sure you have.
Fair enough.
So,
probably should be a new Horizon game this year as well.
A new Horizon Zero Dawn?
No, I was thinking Forza, but didn't that just came out? What was that last
year? There's a new Forza game every year. That's inevitable.
Yeah. Whether or not it's a Horizon game. If it's a Horizon game, I'll probably pick that up as well.
No, Horizon was last year.
Then I guess I'm not getting an Xbox
So this
One
would
game this
be
year.
Forza 8 or 9, whatever number they're up to now. Ugh.
I don't care as long as if it's a Horizon game, I care. If it's not, I don't care.
So the State of Play happened, and they announced a massive expansion DLC for Monster Hunter World called Iceborne, which looks pretty sick. It looks awesome. Um, Monster Hunter World was a very special game. I mean, it won our Game of the Year of 2018.
It did. It did.
When we broke it all down. So a big expansive DLC is really gonna, especially this summer when not a lot of games are coming out, right? Or at least heading into the summer, there's a big lull period. I would be all for it, but unfortunately it's gonna come out in September, on September 6th.
That's the start of the whole holiday period for games.
Yeah, so I'm kind of, as much as I love Monster Hunter World, that might be just real bad timing for some of the games that are going to come out later this year. I mean, Mario Maker 2 is coming out. A lot of time is going to get sunk into that game.
Yeah, I'll just play other people's levels. I'm no good at creating them.
Well, I mean, that's half the fun, right? But, so, if you're into Monster Hunter World, Iceborne is coming out later this fall. Then they announced a new game that's coming out, I guess, this summer. It's called River Bond. It's like a cross-character game in this Minecraft-y type overhead fixed camera action game. You could be Shovel Knight, the character from Bastion, and then the list goes on. I had to write them all down. I'm just going off the cuff here. So, I mean, would you be interested in a game like that? It seemed very Skylanders-y.
Maybe?
Yeah, I wasn't sure myself. I'll have to keep an eye on it. Let's see. They covered more of the Medieval remake, showed a really nice trailer for it. The gameplay looks a lot better than the original, and they finally announced that it's coming out in the fall, October 25th. So, hooray! Medieval remake.
Cool.
Did you ever play the original?
I played one of them on PSP. I don't know whether that was original or not, but
that was a slight remake of the original.
Yeah, then I played the original? Question mark?
Yeah, close enough.
Maybe.
But this looks like they added a few more things. Camera's obviously going to be much better. Response time's going to be much better. So I'm excited for Medieval remake. That's the game should be no more than $30. That's a day one buy for me, easy.
Yeah, if it's cheap enough, I'll pick it up as well. Should be like probably the same price as the Crash and Spyro games.
Yeah. I think those were $30, right?
Stands to reason though as to like why they didn't just do all of them like they did with Crash and Spyro.
Cause Spyro's Insomniac and Crash is I forget who owns them now.
Naughty Dog, but
I think Activision does actually.
I thought it was a Naughty Dog game, but I could be wrong. But yeah, no, what I was trying to get at is
it was a Naughty Dog game, but then they lost. They gave up the license for Crash.
Right. You know what I was trying to get at was if they're re-releasing like all those old games, Medieval would have been a very good one to do another sort of trilogy with.
Well, there isn't three of them. Well, I guess technically there's three of them, but there's two of them, and I didn't really see if the second one's going to be involved with this. They might have just made a really expansive first one.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe.
I'm sure it's going to be
see.
fine.
Then they showed a trailer for a very bizarre game called Away. And it's a animal survival game where natural disasters are occurring and you're on the run. And you're a lemur or a flying squirrel.
Dude, that sounds awesome. I'm all in.
Yeah, I was like, why do I want to... Oh, he can fly.
Do I get to fly like lions and crap as a lemur?
Well, you're flying away from a hawk chasing you. There's, I guess, a volcano exploding in a section. It looked pretty neat. I'm not gonna beat around the bush on that one. So it's called Away, the lemur survival game. And then they showed a trailer for Final Fantasy VII, which was quite surprising. I was not expecting that. They showed basically the first major area of the game, that first section where you break into the plant, you fight the giant robot. They showed the gameplay from that sequence, and they showed some cutscenes where Cloud's meeting up with various characters and interacting. So, at the very least, the beginning of the game section is done. And
It's
it
going to be
said,
episodic anyway, so maybe it should be out next year.
well, they said more info to come in June, which is E3. So maybe PlayStation will make an announcement at E3 regarding Final Fantasy VII Chapter 1 or something, which would be really cool.
I don't know if that game can work episodically. Isn't
Well,
episodic gaming kind of dead, like after Telltale?
not necessarily. But, I mean, from what we saw with Square from its Final Fantasy 15 disaster with how they wanted to put chunks of the story in chapters, you know, they didn't even come out with the last two. So, confidence levels at an all-time low with Square with me right now.
Yeah. Dude,
But there's no way I'm not buying Final Fantasy VII Chapter 1, if that's the case.
You know, like, I'll check it out. Final Fantasy's usually a fairly decent game, so he's hoping this one stands to par.
I mean, as long as it keeps everything more or less the same, just updated to 2019, it's going to be the same game, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Dude,
So that
this
was-
away looks amazing.
You're seeing the trailer?
Yeah.
The state of play. All these amazing games, but being a lemur, that's the takeaway.
I'm in. I don't know if we cover rumors and speculation here before we get into the main crux of the podcast, but did you hear about the potential GTA 6 leaks?
Oh, how they're going back to Vice City, allegedly?
Yeah, apparently it's going to be in both Vice and Liberty, so there's going to be different segments in different cities, and I don't know.
Ooh. So
how
maybe you
that's
can
going to
travel
go.
between Florida and New York?
I guess
Just
so,
like a
get on
regular
plane and-
snowbird?
Well, there was that mission in GTA San Andreas like all those years ago where you flew to Liberty City, so I guess it could work.
Sure. Anything
I
could
don't-
work.
I don't know, though, whether or not it's a good idea. Because, like, what if you're in Vice City and you need to get to Liberty City, but you're out of money?
So go get some money, rob a bank.
Yeah, I guess so. It is a GTA game. I'm not sure if I want another game set in Liberty City this soon. We haven't been back to Vice City in years, and I want another Vice City.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, I could totally see all of the cities being involved in this one. You know, LA, New York, Miami. You know, that's all there for the taking. Just instead of, because the original GTA 3, Liberty City was in three sections, right?
Yeah, so it was the original San Andreas. They had Los Santos, San Fierro, and Las Venturas.
Right, so they could do 3 sections so expansive where one's Vice City, one's Liberty City, and one's San Andreas.
Yeah, also the other thing to take away from this whole rumor potential leaks thing is the fact that this won't be happening on PS4 and Xbox One because the game's going to be too big, so it's going to be on PS5 and Xbox Scarlet.
I'm all for it. Whatever.
Yeah, look, I'm sure I'm going to get it. GTA
The,
games
the next
usually-
the next gen's on its way. It's about that time, right?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like this PS4 and Xbox One, they've been around for as long as the predecessors, but they probably have at this point.
PS4, I believe, when it hits 2020, will have matched the PS3
Oh, okay, well, it's been around longer than I thought.
when the PS4 came out. That time frame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's been longer than I thought then.
Yeah. I mean, consoles came out like every 4 to 6 years, so it's been that long.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
That's the history behind it all. Well, you ready to talk about the games of April?
Sure, I'm ready for you to educate me about the games of April.
Oh, cheeky. Okay.
Both Sonic and Shadow go into Super Hedgehog mode. That is Super
Whoa.
Saiyan Hedgehog.
It's too much edge in that sentence.
Shadow.
Do they both turn gold, Super Saiyan?
Yes.
Okay, so blue and black Sonic
Whoa. Again,
Turn
racist.
gold.
So are you telling me the, let's say, ethnic hedgehogs are forced to transform into blonde hair, blue-eyed hedgehogs?
Oh my god!
Are you pretty much so? Sonic is essentially Nazi propaganda. Got it.
Although they don't have blue eyes, they have red eyes.
For like the Nazi colors, yeah.
Nazis blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah,
They're
but red
Aryan.
flag. Look, work with me here, Colin.
No, I refuse. I will not entertain your
Sonic
line
is
of
Nazi
thought on this
propaganda
matter.
confirmed.
I will not entertain your Nazi propaganda with Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh my god.
This got political pretty quick.
I'm just saying, if this episode title isn't Sonic is Nazi propaganda for the clicks, you're doing something wrong.
That's the Red Leaf Retrocast. All things gaming, anime, and wrestling, found on all your favorite podcasting websites.
Hey dude, you into anime, manga, and all that radical stuff?
Oh yeah, man, it's tubular.
Then you should totally check out the...
This transmission has been hacked. If you want discussions, debate, reviews, and all in between, you must listen to the Anime Radicals Network at www.animeradicals.com. There's timely reviews, revolutions, mecha, and much more. Find it on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all podcast catchers. The Anime Radicals Network.
The revolution will be simulcast.
So, I changed up the list here, and the first game we're going to talk about is a PSVR game. It's been a little while since the last PSVR discussion of games. I remember in November, December last year, a slew of PSVR games came out. Like, a lot. Right? And then it's gone through this just lull period, where nothing of note's coming out. Like, just... No, Hot Shots Golf VR has just launched, but that's in May, so I might touch on that. But it's more. I can already say it's Hot Shots Golf, but now you're in first person. It's in VR. So
Fair enough.
a game I'd had on my little watch list for a little while is called Ghost Giant, and I wasn't sure what to expect from this. All I knew about it was you, the player, take the role of this seemingly ghost that's looking down on this world. And hence the title Ghost Giant. You're the giant, you're the ghost looking down. I understood that. But what the game actually was, I wasn't sure. I was thinking Moss, where you're a character and you kind of help your little mouse friend traverse around the world, help it solve puzzles, that kind of thing. And more or less, this is the same kind of game, where you help various characters interact, solve puzzles, etc., etc. What's different about this one is this is very psychological in a lot of ways. You could look up YouTubers or what have you playing this game, and I was watching one stream of Ghost Giant, and this guy started getting into he broke out into tears. He takes off the VR headset and he's wiping his face, and he's like, I did not expect this game to be that emotional. The subjects, whether it's a lot of mental health, depression, family separation, those kinds of things. So I was not expecting that when going into Ghost Giant at all. There was another game I played last year, I want to say, or 2 years ago. It was called Night in the Woods. Yeah, it would have been 2 years ago. Night in the Woods was very much like that, where you follow these anthropomorphic creatures around, and you unlock a story that has a lot more psychological and mental issues, and it's slowly developing over time, and you unlock the story behind, the truth to it all. And Ghost Giant's very much along that line. It's not as expansive and in-depth as Night in the Woods, but Ghost Giant gets damn close to that. On a more simplistic scale of, here's your character, here's its issue, we're going to address it. So if you have PSVR, I would recommend this game for the experience alone. It's something that should not be overlooked. What do you think, Jay?
I think if it's emotional and family separational, I think I'm not in the right mindset to play it.
Yeah, that's a good point. When subjects like that are tackled, you have to be mentally prepared for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But I don't have PSVR, so I obviously won't be playing it, but I will probably check out some streams and stuff of it.
I don't
later.
think it's VR exclusive. So you can play it without a PSVR.
But it's probably better to play in PSVR.
I'm not 100% on that, but I did play it on PSVR. Of course, it's on the short side because it's a VR game. Short stints. That's what they do. It has pretty much rave reviews across the board. We're around the 8 to 9 range. So it's a lot of people are regarding it as one of the best and better PSVR games out there. So again, I'm not 100% sure it's PSVR exclusive, so you might be able to play it without a VR. So take that for what it's worth. All right. Next game. This is a good one. Katana Zero. Now, what do you know about this game whatsoever? Jay, do you know anything about this?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Have you ever played a game called Hotline Miami?
I know of Hotline Miami.
Okay, you know the gameplay of Hotline Miami.
I do. It's like that top-down, just shoot 'em up. Yeah.
Shoot 'em up, one-hit kill, go into an area and try to get everything as quick as possible, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Katana Zero is very much in that same realm. It's just like Hotline Miami. It's fast-paced action 2D, right? What Katana Zero is you're this ninja dude, and every time you bust into a room or a section of a room, you have to cut everyone down as quick as possible before you die in one hit, because that's what happens. And then if you die, it does like the Prince of Persia thing, where it's like, no, that didn't happen, rewinds you back to a certain point. It has a very unique aesthetic to it. What I mean by is the colors and the way the pixel art goes, because it doesn't truly seem 2D. It's very much 3D, but on a 2D plane. So it's pretty cool. A lot of purples, a lot of yellows. So there's another Hotline Miami comparison there. And the gameplay itself is very smooth. It's very responsive. So what ends up happening is you have your sword, and you also have the ability to kind of do this Max Payne bullet time mode for a limited amount. And when you do that, you can either roll or swing your sword and like hit bullets back at the guy who fired it, which is a very satisfying game mechanic.
Can you do that outside of bullet time mode though, or not?
You can, but it's very hard to time.
Right. Looking at this now, it reminds me of old school Mega Man, sort of.
You know what? When you play it, I do feel that there is some Mega Man influence there, especially with the jump and slash. Naturally, Mega Man was jump and shoot, so you do feel like you're playing an action platformer along those lines. Now, I did feel that a lot of the levels became a bit monotonous. Go into the room, slash, go in the other room, slash, oh, dead, rewind, go in the room, slash, go in the room, slash. So the loop was a little bit monotonous. Luckily, the levels themselves, and what I mean is the whole area of the game board, that is very interesting. So there's, I believe you're in a mansion, and then in another, you go to a hotel, I'm trying to remember. It's been a couple weeks. But you have to go to different levels of the hotel to collect key cards, and there's... Or is it a theme park? Anyways, you collect key cards, and it's like a studio stage. That's what it was. And you go to like stage 1, stage 2. Yeah, okay. Now I remember. Because there's like a minecart level, studio level. It really reminded me of kind of Dynamite Heady, that area, and that's one of my favorite Sega Genesis games ever. So it's very addicting in that sense, because the levels themselves are different enough, but the gameplay may get a little monotonous because it feels like you're doing the same thing all the time, no matter what the stage is. So,
Right.
Yeah. If you're a fan of Hotline Miami, I think this game's a definite checkout for you. That's what I think.
Well,
I'm getting it on my Switch probably this weekend. It's getting about mid-80 reviews overall, so that 80-85 range. So it's definitely on that upper cusp of games that have come out in 2019.
fair enough. Well, I will check it out.
I hope you do, Jay. Maybe next time you'll have something to say.
Potentially, yes.
Potentially, yes. You'll have more to say later.
Indeed, I will.
Yeah, Katana Zero was definitely a game I was not expecting. I just, I like browsing around along Metacritic. I check it once a day. If a game gets above especially an indie game, if it gets above a 75, I'll give it a quick look. And if it really catches my eye and it starts getting good reviews as well then maybe I should fucking check it out. Box Boy and Box Girl came out on the Switch. It's more Box Boy, Box Girl. Your boxes solve the puzzles. It's not as like mind bending as what Baba Is You was in March.
Yeah, at least this game actually works properly.
Hey, yeah, they haven't fixed that one level.
Well, it still sounds kind of problematic.
I really liked Baba Is You. It's actually one of the stronger games of 2019 as well. But I think Katana Zero is right up there with Baba Is You. I really do. It's a good game.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Man, we're just making good time with this, aren't we? Heaven's Vault.
To say about it. Yeah, Heaven's Vault.
Heaven's Vault is our third game.
I do know a little bit about this game.
Okay.
It's very, 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 very artsy.
Yeah.
It's got a very unique style of the looks of it, and it's an archaeological game.
So that means you're all about it, and you bought it already, right, Jay?
No, but yeah. So essentially, from what I can tell, it's a game where you're an archaeologicalist. I can't talk.
Archaeologicalist?
What I look like? Some kind of geographist? I don't know. And you have to decipher and learn hieroglyphic languages.
Sorry, I'm not very good at your googlies.
Shut up. And you have to, you have to decipher, hieroglyphic languages from a lost ancient civilization. And you just travel between planets and crap.
Well, there's a little bit more to it. There's a lot of dialogue in the game, a lot of back and forth between your main character and other characters she meets, right?
Right.
And depending on word usage, depends on the path you take in the game, I suppose. But on the side of all this is this like linguistic puzzle. You're trying to decipher the dead language. You have the scribble marks, whatever sequence they may be, and then you're kind of putting words to match it, and it's more or less a decipher. You're deciphering this code based on just a little bit of information. And coming from someone that has learned multiple foreign languages, I found it very engaging and interesting. My issue with it all is I felt like it was worth nothing, because it had no impact on the game at all. Right?
Fair enough.
So my immediate reaction is this game could be like a 10 out of 10 with me, if that was the case. You know, just think about this. I have deciphered this language incorrectly. Therefore, I have told people in the game the wrong information, and that, in turn, causes a chain reaction for events to occur on this world. Right? However,
so really
if I
what
do
you're
it,
saying is you're going to get everyone killed.
the possibilities are endless. Or you decipher it the correct way. You've given the correct information. Chain reaction ensues for the positive. You know, there's already that whole black and white, night and day effect, right?
Right.
And if you start to, and you can change away from the negative effect if you start to decipher it better, and then you can go interact with the characters. And if you've started to, it could be all part of this dialogue tree. Detroit Become Human, a game that came out last year, had the dialogue tree where you would, and action tree, depending on events, you would have different outcomes of the chapters, right?
Right.
You don't get any of that in this one. I feel like because it's mostly text-based, and the whole point is also being artsy, I feel like that is an easy thing to do. They just chose to have this whole interesting linguistic puzzle, right? Decipher code mean nothing, because nothing happens in the game because of that. I'm very disappointed in it. I have read reviews where they're glad they didn't go that route, or route, depending on what do you say, Jay? Route or route?
Route.
Okay.
Route. Doesn't matter. It's the same bloody thing. Like
Yeah,
I
I
guess route.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
we'll go
route.
with route. We'll go with route. Where
But if
they're
it's
glad
Pokemon,
that
it's route.
yeah, I've seen reviews where people are glad that didn't occur, and I just couldn't wrap my head on why. And I think it's because if doing something wrong causes the bad outcome, they just don't want to experience that. That's my theory.
If you're doing things wrong though in a game, you should be punished for it.
Exactly.
Well, not necessarily punished, but you should see the outcomes of whatever decisions you make. Like that's why I like the Telltale games. If you stuff that up, you stuff it up royally. Like my ending of Odyssey, I screwed up royally.
So the or Detroit Become Human, I'll come back to that game, where you could essentially kill a character off. Right?
Oh, yeah, I killed many characters off in Odyssey.
I killed a few characters off in Detroit, and I was having glorious fun.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to decipher this code incorrectly on purpose and see the events that happens, but you can't do any of that. It's all for naught. I don't recommend Heaven's Vault unless you just want to experience the text adventure, because that's really what it is at the end of the day.
Fair enough. And some pretty graphics.
I don't know. I wasn't a total fan. It's not graphics. It's art, right? I get what they were going for. I just wasn't. It wasn't for me.
Fair enough.
But I'm not criticizing that. I'm criticizing the lack of uniqueness in its gameplay and interaction, right?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So it's fine. It's not great. What does it get? What is Heaven's Vault getting for scores here? I don't think it was too good. 76. That's what it's getting. So it's not the greatest. User score 5.4. Oh, people hate it.
Ouch.
Yeah. Oh, that's bad. All right. Now on to game number 4 from April of 2019. And it's Mortal Kombat is back, Jay.
It is.
So, Mortal Kombat 11, the 11th installment, but there's been more than 11, but hey, they're calling it 11.
It's like Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 6 and 5 are technically like 7 and 9 or 8 or something.
Yeah. But anyways, side stories don't count.
The stories games are actually really good and underrated.
Liberty Stories?
There's Vice City Stories and Liberty City Stories. They're both pretty decent.
I think I have Liberty Stories on the PSP.
They were both PSP games.
Yeah. Okay, Mortal Kombat 11. So, for those that don't know what Mortal Kombat is, you are characters that all kind of look the same, have the same model, but they have different costumes.
And they fight each other and murder each other with fatalities.
And they murder each other in the most brutal of fashion. So, there's your premise for Mortal Kombat. Now, what does Mortal Kombat 11 do that's so different? Well, if you remember
Towers.
Oh, we'll get there. Let me talk about the positives of the game, okay?
I thought we was going straight into towers, but you said
No,
what does
no,
it do
no.
differently? I assumed it was towers.
So, it changes up the gameplay mechanics a bit. It tweaks a lot of what 10 did right and makes it better. They implement a block button instead of just pressing, back, which I quite like, because Mortal Kombat isn't Street Fighter or those kinds of fighting games, right? This is more.
Yeah.
It's more of a simplistic kick, punch, block, and that's it. It's not all about the crazy combos. And in fact, I didn't like the crazy combos in 10. What 11 does well is the big combo tree, where it's 20 letters long. They cut it in half, so it's much more simplistic to hit moves, and it's all about combining the moves to get chain attacks, which is cool. I really like it. It's much more user friendly, and it gives a lot of room for creating an expertise, and getting attached to characters. I think it brings more life to the gameplay of what Mortal Kombat has and is. So that's a big positive, right?
Right.
The story mode is... I have mixed emotions on it. I do like that there's a big story mode. The voice acting's really good, except for Sonya Blade, who's voiced by Ronda Rousey. She is awful.
Well, she doesn't give a damn about her reputation.
She obviously doesn't give a damn about voice acting either. Let me put it to you this way. You have Johnny Cage, right?
Right,
He has fucking awesome $1,000 sunglasses. The guy voicing him is witty, comes across as natural, comes across as, dare I say, human. Sonya Blade, voiced by Ronda Rousey, sounds like, ironically, she's reading off a script, and she has no voice acting skills ever. It's almost like she's never done it before.
It's almost like watching Raw.
So, besides her, the voice acting's incredible. The character models, I'm not a big fan of in the game, and that's just a personal taste, right? I think they're overly ripped. They all look like frickin' Brian Cage from Impact Wrestling, like all of them.
Well, it's a fighting game. Like, they're all supposed to have muscles on muscles, aren't they?
Well, I get it, but from what we've seen in the past and, our connection with all these characters, they look a bit goofy now, is what I'm saying. And Mortal Kombat isn't about being goofy. It's about, Melina eating someone's face off, right?
Right.
But if she looks like she's cross-eyed and has, 2 shoulders on top of her other shoulders, then you go, this weird thing on the screen is eating a face.
Right.
So that's just my personal taste. I'm sure there's people out there that really love the new designs. So take that for what it's worth. Now, the story mode is quite engaging. It's pretty fun. It's got that whole Mortal Kombat movie-esque humor and 90s-ish-ness to it, which is really cool. I just really wish that Mortal Kombat would fucking have some sort of canon, right?
Right.
A story we can get attached to. Characters that we know, instead of hitting the reset button time and time again. It's really irritating.
Well, I mean, maybe they're doing that so it's accessible to new players who don't need to have known the story for the last, 20 years.
You just need to write something good enough where you can make it accessible, right?
I get what you're saying, but I'm just maybe thinking from their point of view.
You introduce new characters by putting them in the story and writing their stuff. That gives you the reason to do it. And then, these Mortal Kombat characters have been around since the early 90s, right? And yet we're still hitting the reset button on them so many times, and it's 2019. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't... What gets me about it is if you don't have some sort of story to them or background with these characters to get attached to, then you, the player, have a much harder time getting attached to the character, right? If they're spending so much time on a story, then the story has to have your characters that you get behind. I want to like Johnny Woody Cage, but if he constantly goes through Batman seeing his parents killed over and over again in 50 different ways, I become numb to it all because I can't. Oh, Batman, your parents are dead. Like, get over it, kind of syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
So that's just that's more of a minor thing. The story is about 6 hours. I played about 3 of it and wanted to play other modes. And so I've really liked this game up to this point, Jay. Right?
Right.
Now, did I buy the game? No. I went to my
Your place
video game store. Right. Before I choose to buy them. So, then we get to the other half of the game. Kind of like the arcade mode in Street Fighter V that wasn't there. So, Mortal Kombat games of the past have had aspects to it, or different areas where you can complete tasks to unlock costumes and attires for your characters. Now, being that it's this day and age that we live in Mortal Kombat 11 we have towers and crypts with loot boxes and microtransactions and...
Okay. Before you go off into tangent, let me ask a question.
All right.
Do these loot boxes affect gameplay, or are they all for cosmetics?
So they are for the purpose of getting various items in the game. It's an entire mode built around this.
Right.
So this is your story mode, basically. That's outside of this other story mode that you're playing.
Right.
This is 50% of the game we're about to talk about here. Because 25% is the main story of Mortal Kombat 11, and then the other 25% I'm saying is your 1v1 type action of the characters. Your fighting game normalcy, right?
Yep.
Okay, so now we're into the towers and the crypt, which is a whole 50% of the game. This is what a lot of time has gone into to be Mortal Kombat 11. Okay? So keep that in mind. So, a lot of this is getting cosmetics, right? But it's also getting different currencies and items. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The items you need to get to progress through various towers are loot boxes. Random drops. There's even a statue in one area, I believe it's in the crypt actually, where it's a statue that you pull its arm and in its mouth has a slot machine. It's a literal gambling device in the game.
Isn't that illegal?
Oh, well. There's a supposed bill about to be passed soon enough.
R rating? I was under the impression slot machines given an instant R rating.
Yeah, well, I think because it's a statue, it's not technically a slot machine.
Well, that's why the friggin' slot machines got taken out of Pokemon.
Yeah, right. So, So you have the towers. Let's say Raiden is he's electrified the tower. So you have to have this electrical item drop. So you go to another tower or a crypt to get this item, but you can't physically get the item without purchasing it, which you can't purchase, by the way, because the store's not up. So you just go through these. You just go through this drag grind, which I had a major issue in Odyssey. Was I felt it was more of a drag than a grind, because a grind you can see the hill, right? You can see the top of the hill that you're climbing up.
Yep.
Okay? Depending on how big the hill, depends on the amount of grind. Now, a drag, and I did hear, and I forget where I heard this phrase. I might have read it I probably read this. So, these aren't my words, these are someone else's. Where a drag is when you see the mountain in the background, right? And as you're walking to the mountain, you never get closer. It's an illusion, right?
Yep.
That's what Mortal Kombat 11 is, because you have to grind to get this loot box that'll give you a random drop, and you have to keep doing it until you can get that item. So if you have bad luck, you may never get the item, right?
Yep.
Okay. The other thing is you have currency. And there's like 4 different types of currencies in the game, between like time travel currency and crypt currency, which is spelled with a K, so it's cool. Don't forget that. Then you have, let's say, blood orbs from Devil May Cry. They're here. Whatever. You know, everything has a different name, whatever game it is. When you get the currency, it comes at such a slow pace that your time invested is wasted. Because you don't get it quick enough. This is just like Street Fighter V all over again with its fight money. Where you don't get it quick enough for it to even matter, and you can't actually get all the things that you want. Right? So it's an inevitable illusionary mountain that you see in the distance. So,
I get you.
So in that sense, yes, it does affect gameplay. It absolutely does. Now, Jay, you're on record saying you and Drew, a former host of this cast, you both are on record saying that cosmetics in microtransaction loot boxes are okay by you, right?
As long as it's like stuff that doesn't affect like overall gameplay. So like with trials, like your loot boxes with your outfits, it doesn't matter what you're wearing in that game. You should still be able to beat the game if you're good enough. Like cosmetics are really here nor there. Like it just changes the look of things.
Yeah. And many people are okay with that. I am not. And I'll give you... This is a great example of why I'm not. Okay?
Okay, but if you could still, like, buy the outfit or unlock it other ways, like, are you fine with it still? Or are you just against loot boxes in general for cosmetics?
I'm against it all in general. Because
Okey-dokey.
here's a great reason. Mortal Kombat is all about getting costumes and attires for your characters, right?
Well, I thought it was about fighting, but sure.
Well, the other parts, you know, you don't want your character to always look the same, right? So in the past, you would unlock, let's say in Mortal Kombat 10, you play the game and then you play to unlock, I don't know, Sub-Zero's gear from Mortal Kombat 2. You play some more, you unlock his gear from Mortal Kombat 3. You play some more, you unlock his whole attire from, or a new unique attire only to Mortal Kombat X. You get, you're unlocking all these things that are unique to Sub-Zero or Raiden or etc. Right?
Gotcha.
Now, what cosmetics are doing now, and this is what Mortal Kombat 11 does, which infuriated me, was you're getting like ribbons and a T-shirt, Bill's taxidermy shirt or whatever. I'm obviously making that up, but you're getting just random shirt number 3, and then it comes in like 5 colors, and then you can put that in any character. I'm like, well, that's lame. Why even bother? That's not going to be unique to anybody, right? It's not it's not a whole thing. You just get a shirt. You just get a face, emoji. It's very 2019, right? Or 2018 or 2017 when it all started. It's not interesting. It's just a t-shirt. It's just a ribbon. It's just a belt. It's just shoes. It's not what made it interesting in any way. So it's just there to take your money. Its whole purpose is to take your money. And it's not even put there in a fun way. It's put there in a way to just take your time away at the same time.
But you don't have to spend money on it.
So, because of the random drop system and the way that the currency system is set up, the whole thing's busted. And the guys from Mortal Kombat, I don't know whether it was the director or one of the developers or the guy from DC, Warner Brothers. Are they behind? I think they're. Anyways, whoever made this fucking game, they're like, oh, we've noticed the egregious error in the system. We'll fix it. So that tells me either that they were fucking incompetent or they knew about it and they lied to us, right? And they tried to get away with it, which is disgusting. So, on top of the fact that it's a fighting game, so you know that there's going to be DLC coming out, and there's going to be the Ultimate Edition a year from now for half the price. Why the fuck bother getting this game? And, on top of it all, you have this egregious 50% of the game that's one of the worst microtransaction loot box systems I've ever seen. And I'm not even kidding. This is one of the worst I've ever seen in gaming. To this day.
But like I said to you, do you actually need to unlock the crap from the loot boxes to progress?
Yes! You need the items to progress through the towers.
So there's no other way of getting those items?
No other way.
Well, that's
unless you spend money on them directly, which the store will be there eventually for you to do that.
Okay, well then, no, that's bullcrap. That's stupid.
It's 100% stupid.
Because, why don't you just beat a tower, get the item instantly, plus a loot box, and then go to the next tower?
Well, see, you're thinking outside the box now. And that's ways for you to not spend money extra.
But that's, like you said, if this was 2015, 2014, whatever, that's just what they would have done.
Well, who knows if the loot... I don't even think the loot box would have been there.
No, I wouldn't have. That's what I'm saying to you. Like, you just would have beat the tower.
Or you earn a loot box, and then you get a random draw. You get a random attire, full clothing lines for the characters, right?
Not just a crappy t-shirt.
Not just a crappy, shitty t-shirt. That's... Jay, I would be in full agreement with you if that's what they were doing. If that's what these games were doing. If it was cosmetic loot boxes... And you got, like, full interesting attires for characters or bikes or whatever it may be. But that's not what they do. They get palette swap number 6.
Yeah, no, that is bullcrap. Because, like, yeah, that's just dumb. So. You can't lock stuff behind loot boxes. You need items to progress. And even if you get to put them up as microtransactions, it's still just stupid.
Well, look, I shit on microtransactions, and it really infuriates me to what gaming has become, because so much of what I love is being infested with this, right?
Right.
So, Devil May Cry 5, I was so scared that they were going to fuck that game over, right? Especially with what Capcom did to Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
It was there... but it affected the game in zero way, right? It just existed. So I could completely ignore it. The same thing occurred in the later Assassin's Creed games with Ubisoft. Odyssey, it was just there. Now they did other things that kind of...
there's not loot boxes in Odyssey.
Well, there's microtransactions.
I didn't
loot boxes, microtransactions.
I beat the game with no difficulties without using any microtransactions.
Exactly. It's not there, right? It just exists.
If you want to use it, be my guest. You don't need it, though.
So, Mortal Kombat 11 does it in the most egregious way possible.
Where you actually need to buy the stuff to actually progress, which is, as I said before, dumb.
Right. And what this also... And because the cosmetic loot boxes are so boring, you know what that's going to do. it's going to lead to what Street Fighter V is, and it's like $10 costume packs. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
All these things that used to be in games past as achievements, your goal was to play the game in different ways so you can unlock things and feel like you've accomplished something more in the game. You're like, yay, I can be Johnny Cage with the sunglasses from the fucking movie from the 90s, right? Awesome. But instead, you have to complete 100 uppercuts on this fucking stupid enemy to get a random drop of something that you might already have 18 of.
Yeah. Can you sell them at least, or are you stuck with like 17 of the same shirt because you can't sell them back for money?
Oh, I don't even remember. I was so mad. Once I broke it all down in my head, I go, I never want to touch Mortal Kombat 11 ever again.
Okie dokie.
And I went and popped in Mortal Kombat XL. I was fucking Jason Voorhees, and I stabbed Sonya Blade 60 times.
Getting that frustration of Ronda Rousey holding the women's championship hostage for a year, I see.
So I say do not buy Mortal Kombat 11 at all. Don't support this. I've said the gameplay has been vastly improved. I approve of that. I loved it. But what else the game entails is just not worth it. So.
Gotcha.
Now let's talk about a game we enjoyed, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, I didn't like this game at the start of it for like the first few hours, but it was quite good. So let's talk about Days Gone, my dude.
Well, I spoke about a lot of the games early in the cast here, so let me drink some water, probably have some scotch, because I'm just breathing hot fire. I'm going to put hot fire down my throat. Tomatin 14. 14?
I almost thought you were going to say Tamatonga, but that's fine.
Yeah, Tomatonga 16, the whiskey of Bullet Club.
There probably is that in Japan, let's be honest here.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Before I go further in depth and stuff into this, how far did you get?
I was mostly in exploration mode, so I played a grand total of, I want to say, 2.5 to 3 hours. I didn't get very far in the story, but I was kind of
the surface.
Yeah. I've barely scratched the surface, but we'll get to why I did that, and I wanted to. In fact, I think the game I ended up playing the most is Katana Zero.
Fair enough.
Out of the month.
Fair enough.
So,
okay. So Days Gone starts off zombie outbreak. Moving on. Cool. Now, essentially, what I've been describing this game to my friends as: have you ever seen Walking Dead, or have you never seen Walking Dead?
Okay, go on.
No, have you, or have you not?
No, but we discussed Walking Dead on the previous cast.
No, I'm not talking about like the games or anything. But there's a character in that show called Daryl, who is essentially a biker who uses a bow and arrow as.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen Sons of Anarchy, and that's who this dude Deacon remind me of. That's
also true. But I've been describing this game to people who I like as Daryl Dix in the game, because essentially, you're a biker in a zombie apocalypse. Playing through, you're surviving, blah, blah, blah. Now, the stealth mechanics in this game are fine. I don't know how much of that you played around with.
I messed about quite a lot trying to break things and test how technically broken the game was, while kind of mucking about playing the game at the same time.
Right.
Because I knew you were going to have a lot more time to play the story part of it.
Yeah, which I don't really want to get too in depth with, because there's stuff to talk about there, but if you're going to play this in the future, I don't want to spoil it for you, so I was just going to talk about the gameplay sort of stuff.
You can talk about a good chunk of the beginning of the story, because it's like a 30-hour game.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Alright, so yeah, game starts off. Your wife gets taken by some scientist dudes because she's been stabbed, and that's the last time you see her, to where I'm up to in the game. So a lot of the game is him just trying to find his wife. and
His
survive out
long-lost
in the open
love.
road. Indeed. There are some hints and stuff that you still love. I don't really want to go too in depth with that. But
I
a lot
assume.
of this game is to do with your bike, and after the first 30 minutes to an hour, your bike gets stolen, and you get given this piece of crap, which breaks down, runs out of gas, and is just a pain in the ass to use. Did you get up to this point?
I did.
What did you think of the junk bike?
So I kind of liked how you get the pretty sick, awesome bike right away, right? And
Right?
it responds well. You do a pretty boring, elongated chase scene. But the bike itself was cool. So then you get this dirt bike, right? Essentially. And so now in your head, you know what your goal is. You want to get in your head, you should be thinking, I really liked that last bike. I want to upgrade this one to be like that one, as responsive, as awesome, as sick, right?
Indeed.
So that's the goal. Now the breakdown
Well, yeah,
and excuse me.
Go ahead.
Well, so the way that they have the driving mechanics in this game was a lot more in depth than I had expectations for.
Yeah, actually, so did I, because the driving and stuff with the bike is a lot more responsive than it first seemed, because when you first get the crappy dirt bike, everything just goes wrong with it, and it doesn't perform as well as you think it should. Like, it feels sluggish.
Yeah, well, it's an old bike, nothing's tuned up on it. It has no upgrades. It feels like a 60-year-old dirt bike that you got from a scrapyard, which it pretty much is.
Kind of is. Yep.
Yeah, it slips in the mud, it slips in wet grass. I mean, fuck, if it's raining, you might as well just get off that thing and walk around for a while.
Yeah, runs out of petrol like unbelievably. Always breaks down.
Well,
Go through so much
luckily,
scrap at the side of that game.
luckily, your very first upgrade you get is the extra fuel storage.
Well, if you decide to take that as your first upgrade, it's not always guaranteed to be your first upgrade. It's recommended to be your first upgrade.
It's
but
recommended
it's
for
not your
a reason.
upgrade. Yeah. But look, where I'm up to now with my bike, my bike's a beast, man. It's I'm not going to say it's as good as one you have at the start of the game, but it performs very well. I'm used to the driving mechanics. I've had some frame issues when I'm going past hordes.
Yes. Yeah, that's a frequent problem.
Yeah, there's a lot of times in the game you just be driving along, something will clip in, and then your frame rate just drops.
Yeah, and things like that is really holding this game back. So the games, I didn't mention, Mortal Kombat 11 has an 83 Metacritic rating score, while Days Gone has a 72.
I think Days Gone is a very good game.
I think they should be. I think they should more or less be flipped. Right?
Well, yeah, but here's another way of looking at Days Gone, because there are a lot of issues in this game, like we've said. The shooting mechanics and all that game, they're not all that good. They work for what you need to do, I guess, but they're not great. The stealth is fine, it works. The clipping issues and all that are kind of annoying. But I'm looking at this kind of like Watch Dogs 1, where it's sort of like a proof of concept.
Yeah, but the problem is, even if they come out with Watch Dogs 2, then who's going to get it? Because of the technical failure that was the first one, right?
Yeah, Watch Dogs 2 was a far superior game to Watch Dogs 1, though.
Oh my god, I actually just got it on the Golden Week sale, Watch Dogs 2. I'd never played it before.
It's a really good game.
I was fiddling around with it, and I'm like, oh my god. This is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Everything that I wanted out of
good.
Watch Dogs 1, an interesting story, a better character, better gameplay, all of that's there. So, fantastic. I totally get the comparison. 100%. Because Watch Dogs 1 was competent to an extent, right? But technically it was a disaster.
Technically it was a disaster, yes. Yes, it was. Kind of like this game. It's kind of a disaster, but it works for what it is.
So, the technical problems, I think in this day and age, we can look at this from, let's call it the Ubisoft effect, right?
Uh-huh.
I think this company is going to fiddle and fiddle and fiddle and fix all this as time goes on. So we'll stop seeing the frame rate issues and patches. We'll get a lot more things fleshed out. Trees and rocks won't be spawning right in front of you, and then you hit it with your bike and fly 20 feet, which is actually kind of funny.
And die. Because you're on
that
low health.
That happened to me.
I always seem to be on low health and forget to heal.
So there was one instance where a rock all of a sudden appears in front of me. My bike smashes it, and the character just goes like 30 feet forward. And then I smash into a tree and die. It was just ragdoll funny. It was ridiculous. I go, okay, if a game's kind of broken and stuff like that happens, I'm all for it.
Look, for what it is, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I've got issues with the game, which I've said a couple of them on here, like the framing issues. The mechanics of certain things don't work all that great, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
So there are a few things I wish would have been in the game, or
Okay.
at least changed.
Go ahead.
So Deacon, our main character,
He's an asshole.
when you're out,
He flips back and forth between psychotic lunatic and nice guy.
okay. So here's what I think should have happened. All right.
Go ahead.
When he's alone, he's like muttering to himself. He's going crazy, right, all the time. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking stab you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna pull your spine out like Mortal Kombat. That kind of shit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when he gets to cutscenes, all of a sudden he's this bland white character number 34, right?
He's
that
a
we've
nice
seen
guy, sort
in
of.
every protagonist, every bland white protagonist in isekai anime we've ever seen ever, right?
Yep.
He's milk toast. He's bland. He's not even peanut butter on toast. He's nothing.
Yeah.
So he could there could have been I think it would have been an easy choice, and to make it a much better character experience, if that psychomasochism kind of thing would slip in, right? Instead of just this cutscenes that we've just interactions that we've seen time and time again, 1,000 million times.
Right.
That's what made a game like Horizon Zero Dawn so special. Aloy, as she was traversing the world, was all in her appearance and maneuver. Like, it was all part of her. And then when she got into cutscenes, she was confused to the world she was discovering. I don't get that in Days Gone. Deacon is just so boring in as the story unravels. And bear in mind, of course I didn't play very much, but that's what I got immediately as a first impression.
Okay, so I have two things here that might change a little bit of that.
Okay.
Number one, what if he had character customization?
What do you mean character customization?
Like, change his clothing, so you've got your own Deacon then.
I mean, that just goes with the game. Like, Aloy, you could change her clothes to match the environment or enemies you were going up against, so that should be expected. That doesn't change.
That's one.
That doesn't change the character that you see on screen, right?
The only customization it really gets to do is to the bike, which is one little thing I got annoyed with, because open world games should be fully customizable.
Yeah, you would think he'd be able to get a better denim jacket for +3 armor or something.
Yeah, you'd think so.
See, we're just joking around, and that would be funny, right? You go into an old pickup truck on the side of the road that you discovered, while there's a horde in the background. And you're like, okay, and then you see a new denim jacket, right? Something stupid, or a Sons of Anarchy leather jacket. You put it on, now you have extra health, or you're protected against freakers more. Video game logic. It makes no sense, but it's awesome.
Yeah, they're absolutely right. The
Right.
other thing I kind of wish that was in the game is you can buy your weapons. I don't know if you've played around with the weapons and different things you could get and stuff, but like, you buy the weapon, the only thing you could do to it to make it different is put a silencer on it.
Yeah, I didn't really like. Or the lack of customization and elaboration on what you're doing in the world is very slim.
And even like after you just get the weapon and the silencer on it, after like 10 shots, the silencer breaks anyway. So you got to go back to the camp where you go anyway to get fuel, to get ammo, to buy a new silencer. And then after a few days, your friggin' shop runs out of stock of those things, and you got to go to another community and do jobs for them to earn credits because your credits don't carry between towns, blah, 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 blah.
There's a lot of things holding it back that just you find irritating, you know? I think one of the most irritating things that I came across, you know, technical things aside, if a game's still fun, I can deal with technical issues, right?
Look, issues and technical issues aside, I think this game is fun.
I had an okay time with it. I didn't, you know what? I did enjoy it to a point. There's just so many things that just kept compounding on each other. I was like, oh man, I wish this was the thing. I wish this was the thing. Man, I really wish you didn't use fuel in fast travel. Things like that. Yeah,
that's one thing that kind of ticks me off. But that's why I said before, like, what if this is a proof of concept and then we get a sequel, like, in a different part of America, with a different character?
How many people are going to buy this game to justify that sequel, right? That's the worry. If you don't get it right the first time, then the second time probably won't come.
I did some research before, and it outsold Days Gone in Japan. Days Gone outsold God of War in Japan, like, for the first week.
Well, God of War is not a Japan game, and Days Gone
really
isn't made
like
from a
Japan
Japanese.
Game either.
No, Japan loves zombies.
Yeah, but it's not like a Japanese game. It's like rurally in the heart of America.
Just because it's popular in Japan doesn't mean it's good enough. Like, if this game was made by Sega, maybe I'd be more on your side with this. Because Sega's a Japanese company. You made a game, it's popular in Japan, you probably make another because it was popular in the country that you made it for.
Fair enough. Look,
that's why Yakuza is still around, and they've made 7 of them.
I do like me some Yakuza. Hurry up with Yakuza Kiwami 3, please. I need more Yakuza in my life. But yeah, look, what I was essentially trying to say is I'm looking at it like a proof of concept, and if they do another one of these and improve on a few of the issues that the game has itself, number 2 of this would be a very good game.
Yeah. Who's to say? I'm pretty worried. Days Gone reminded me a lot of Crackdown 3 in a lot of ways. The difference is Crackdown 3, a lot of people were bored, right? In Days Gone, people aren't complaining about being bored. They're complaining about, you know, what you and I are complaining about right now. Man, I wish this was a thing. I wish this was a thing. I wish this wasn't a thing, right? With the fuel as a good example.
But a couple of those issues do get fixed as you play further into the game.
Sure, but that first, I don't know, when I was, my first couple hours, it felt kind of grindy in a lot of ways. Because how far from scratch you start is it can be overwhelming to the player, right?
Yeah.
Like,
there's
I
also
get it.
certain perks you unlock that should have been just given to you at the start of the game.
Sure. Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
Oh, well. You know, maybe 83 is probably too high. 72 I think is too low.
Give
but
it
maybe
a solid
from
75, 76.
Yeah, this is just one of those that it's not there. It has something, right? We feel it. It just couldn't execute it well enough. Metro
sure.
Exodus was a technically great game, right? From a technical standing, right? Mm-hmm. But when you play it, it just didn't have that game loop that was engaging enough, right? That's what was missing. That's what a lot of Metro Exodus was missing. That's why it was getting those low 80 scores. You know, you can definitely tell when a game is, you know, people say if it's above a 70, it's a good game. Like, no, that's not what it means. Because once you get below that 85 marker, that's what I'm putting this arbitrary line at. Once you get below that, it has value to, the game has value at the number it stands. Why is it that low? Right? Why are people saying that? What is the problem? And in Days Gone, much like a lot of other games we've discussed this year, Days Gone has a lot of issues. Is there still a good game in there somewhere? Sure. But a lot needs to be fixed.
The framing issue could be patched out. That then would be an issue that's gone. But that doesn't take away from some of the things that we've discussed here already.
Right. Like, even if the frame rate is fixed, that doesn't fix what's missing from the game, right? That is, you can't add that. Just like in Anthem, there's just so much not there that there's no game. Crackdown 3, did people even really want it, right? Things just compound on each other over the course of the year. Ace Combat 7, whole game should have been in VR, like promised. They didn't execute on it. There's a lot of things coming out this year that's very very interesting. Just from what the industry is doing. But right now, I think my most hated game on the year is definitely Mortal Kombat 11.
I don't know what my most hated game for the year is so far, but I will say I'm thoroughly enjoying Days Gone for what it is.
I'm glad you enjoy it. I thought the story progressed too slow at the start. I hope it gets more interesting.
It does.
I'm definitely gonna probably get this game on a big sale at the end of the year. That's the way I see this happening.
That's one way to look at it. It's not, look, I don't think it's worth the full retail price, but on a sale, for sure, pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, I got Watch Dogs 2 how many years after it on the Golden Week sale, and it was $8. And I'm like, wow, I really wish I would have got this game when it came out, but the first one burned me so bad, I didn't trust it, right? Even when good reviews came out, didn't trust it.
Yeah, so, I get you.
I went into Days Gone with a very open mind, because I really, you know what Days Gone does really well, besides the bike handling?
What's that?
And how you upgrade it? The weather system.
Oh yeah, that is really good, and it snows in later areas as well.
Yeah. That was ridiculously cool. How every day seems different than the last. Just like
also,
in real life.
Also, the weather affects how the bike handles as well, and certain things change.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what made traversing the world so much fun, right?
There's a trophy in that game for drifting and using NOS for exactly 5 seconds, and I've been trying to do it heaps, and I think I got to do it in the snow because, dude, driving that bike in the snow is incredibly dangerous.
Might hit that black ice.
You might hit that black ice, indeed.
The other thing that's really cool that I did like is the way the freakers, or zombies in this case, act at night, right?
Yeah, there are different behavioral patterns, and also the different classes have different things as well. One of the things I'm not sure if I like or not is there's these there are these freakers called newts, and they're essentially kids.
Cool.
Have you not found them yet?
No.
Yeah, you can get to kill infected children, dude, and
that's awesome.
It's interesting that that's something that they put in this game, because usually they don't do that sort of thing. The only two games I could think of is this and Dead Space.
That was a criticism I had of Last of Us. I was like, okay, where's all the kids? And how come when a woman was a zombie, we didn't see her face? That was constant in the game, right?
Didn't even realize that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It was just I was like, there's no children, and the women are always too morphed to tell that they're technically women at that point. So I'm like, this is a zombie apocalypse. People get fucked up. I did like that in Days Gone. Everybody, the sense of dread of this world is pretty cool. So
Oh wait, go ahead.
yeah. So if there's zombie kindergartners on crack coming at me at night, I'm gonna be scared to death.
Yeah, they usually pounce off you from roofs and crap, but it's something, dude. Wait
Oh
till you
my
come across...
god, they're like little monkey children.
Yeah, they are. Wait until you come across like the zombie wolves and crap, because those things keep pace with your bike, and if you don't like shoot them as you're going along and kill them, they freaking spear tackle you off there.
That's cool too.
It's
I did notice that the animals, such as the bear and the wolves, I didn't come across wolves. I came across a bear.
Dude, screw
that thing's
bear.
like
Bears are
impossible to
freaking
kill.
annoying. Yeah, they
Why
are.
are some of these animals so tough to kill?
I don't know. I don't like fighting bears, and I'm gonna say late stages of the game. Still don't like fighting bears. I don't like fighting breakers either. There's another form of zombies called breakers, and they're essentially brutes, and they're annoying.
Yeah, it makes sense.
They're annoying.
Okay, here's a question. How many big hordes have you come across? Approximately how long have you played this game?
Alrighty. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna say 20, 30 hours?
Okay, so you've played quite a lot.
Yeah. Hang on, I can add this up. I'm going to my YouTube channel. But I've played a fair bit, and every time I encounter a horde, I don't like going near that horde.
How many have you encountered?
A good handful, like a good few.
Just 3, 5?
10, maybe more. But I try to avoid them because you can tell where they are.
So, are the hordes... I came across one in my time, and they tend to be guarding things you need, right?
Yeah, but you don't need to go to where they are.
But the incentive to try to discover how to, get them all in or funnel them in certain areas so you can get certain items, I quite like that element to it. It's kind of like a big puzzle, right? With the most despairing consequences.
Yeah. I paid for about 27 hours, give or take. That's what's up on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
As I said, I don't like going near hordes, mainly because, I don't think they're designed to be able to beat, to be completely honest with you. But
no, they're designed for you to funnel and figure out how to manipulate to get the thing that you need and then get the F out, right?
Pretty much, yeah. But
which I like. It's pretty cool. Because you shouldn't be fucking Superman going in there, right?
Yeah, no, you're not. Like, a good 5-6 freakers, man, can ruin your day if you're not careful about it. But with the hordes, like, as I said, I try to avoid them. Like, I've come across a few, and I usually just look at them and leave. There's one... I had a very funny encounter, like, in one of these things that I did, because there's an abandoned sawmill, and I wasn't really paying attention, and I was just sprinting from place to place, and I tripped something, and all of a sudden, just out from the sawmill pops this thing of about, like, 100, maybe 200, and I'm just like, I'm going to die now. So, and then you got to go back there for a mission later on, and it's like, I know what's in here, I don't want to be here. Yeah. Hordes are not fun.
Alrighty. So, my recommendation for the month is definitely check out Katana Zero.
My recommendation is Days Gone if you have the time and patience to give it a go.
I believe Katana Zero is only $15.
And I believe that Days Gone is $60, and it's probably not worth the $60.
Yeah. So... thank you everybody for joining us on this April edition of the Modern Gamescast, episode 21. And this is the Red Leaf Retrocast. Don't forget to check out JD, that's me, at BowlingJD, Red Leaf Retrocast, and Viva La JD on Twitter. That's Jay here.
At the Viva La JD.
Yeah. He is also the host of the Smack It Down podcast. Talk about Progress and WXW and New Japan. And you still talking about WWE, or are you off that train?
Money in the Bank is probably going to be my limit.
Okay. You know I'm going to that, though, right?
Good for you. I'm just saying I don't think I can do this anymore. However, starting the week of the 27th, we will be reviewing Progress from Chapter 1.
Ooh. I might be following you along with that one.
Should be fun. I don't know how far we're going to go into this, but every 10 episodes we're going to go back and have a look at what changed and what happened over those 10 chapters.
Pretty cool.
Because I think we're going to enter the start of the Jimmy Havoc reign during those 10, or it's going to be just at the cusp of that.
Excellent. Yeah, Jimmy Havoc just had his last match in Progress. So, a little wrestling talk. So if you're a fan of wrestling, go check out the Smack It Down podcast. Also, go check out the wrestling edition here at the Red Leaf Retrocast. Uncharted Territory. It's a local Beyond Wrestling weekly TV show. I don't know many podcasts covering it. I know some write-ups are going up on Twitter about it, but we cover it here. Anime Edition is getting ever so closer to 50 episodes strong, so be on the lookout for another hentai episode.
Dude, do you cover the naughty stuff?
We did once, and we've been asked to do it again. So
what episode was that?
The one bracketed hentai.
Fantastic.
And the Retrocast is still going strong. The longest one we've done, but it has, I think we're at episode 40. We're approaching 44. So we're getting there. Red Leaf Retrocast going strong. Definitely check us out all on Twitter. Everything's in the description of each episode. And we'll see you next time.
You